Hi guys, it's Carlos the Ultimate Fitness Trainer once again, and thank you so much for watching the video. And today we're doing a video about a lot of the requests I've had lately about negative thoughts and how can you make negative thoughts into positive thoughts. How can you start making things into perspective and feel a little bit better by yourself. So as you guys know, I've done a lot of videos about these sort of subjects, about being more positive, about having a little bit more better perspective in relation to a lot of patterns that we in a mind tend to have. So I'm going to do a little sort of 5 main topics in order to help you guys put things into perspective a little bit better and hopefully help you in relation to become a little bit more positive and ultimately great positive people. So what happens in our brain when we become negative? Now, as you guys know, there's 3 types, or should know, or probably heard, there's 3 types of stress. So we've got physical stress, we've got chemical stress, which could be like to do with infections, viruses, stuff like that, which we tend to obviously go to the doctor and ask our doctor, please doctor, give me some tablets in order to overcome antibiotics or to overcome that particular obviously virus. And the third stress is emotional stress, which can come from loads of different parts of our lives. It could be stressful job, it could be stressful relationships, it could be stressful environments, it could be toxic people around you as well. So there's a lot of different types of stress. So those 3 stresses are, let me recap, which is physical stress, by you obviously doing too much, that could be physical stress. By you obviously being injured or something like that, another type of stress. And obviously if you obviously too much, that can obviously affect you as well. Then obviously the other one, which is chemical stress, could be down to obviously bad food, obviously infections, viruses, all that sort of stuff that can obviously cause us trouble. And then obviously the other one is obviously emotional stress, could be caused by bad relationships, obviously stress at work, too much to do, no time, that sort of stuff. So how does that relate to us becoming a little bit more positive? Now, that relates massively, because once we identify where the stresses are coming from, we can start dissecting a particular structure and elements in order to fight our stress. Now, I would like to use another word in terms of fight, is manage. Now, fighting a stress, sometimes, which is we as humans tend to do, we tend to fight something. And then when you fight, obviously in a fight you can either lose, draw or win, but sometimes there's a lot of stress in that particular field in terms of trying to fight a particular stress. So I would particularly advise you, instead of fighting, try to manage it. So what do I mean by that is, now we've got loads of different stresses, as I just mentioned to you guys. So those 3 elements of stresses, you need to identify where the stress is coming from. And you may say, Carlos, why do I need to identify stress? Where it's coming from and what it is. See, stress is stress. Yeah, stress is stress because it's causing you anxiety. It's causing you to become depressed. It's causing you to become sort of, sometimes not so much depression, but it's causing you to become negative. Okay, now why does that then become a problem? Let me explain, and I've said this to you guys before in other videos, is thoughts become patterns. Patterns create behaviors. Behaviors create personal reality, which then links to personality, and then you then become, and whether you like it or not, you become to be this person who could be either very negative or very positive, depending on how you obviously utilize your brain. Because remember, we as humans, we create our own personal reality. So depending on what you allow to come in, will determine on how you feel about yourself itself. So let me go back to what I was just saying in terms of how we digest things. So my main basically focus here is to explain to you guys on how our brain digests focus onto the stress. So the first protocol is to identify where the stress comes from. Secondly is how we gonna deal with this stress. Okay, and do we need to manage the stress high or low? So there's levels of micromanagement, there's levels of macro management, and there's levels of meso management. So not to overcomplicate things, imagine severe, medium and low. Okay, so you identify how to deal with this stress. Once you identify how to deal with this stress, then you put a plan in place. Let me explain. So let's say you've got a beautiful relationship at home with your parents, with your girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife, kids and everything, right? But let's say you go to work and there's terrible toxic people around and you hate your job, or maybe you hate your boss, or maybe you love your job but hate your boss, or vice versa, or whatever. Okay, it's just an example. So at home is kind of nice, so you love that. Okay, but at work you got a terrible relationship. Okay, so you need to identify where the problem is. So you start then to obviously manifest those negative thought patterns. So when those negative thought patterns begin, it's very hard sometimes to create new patterns, because you go to work, you've got our patterns of bad behavior, of negativity, and you feel down about yourself and you think, really, I don't really want to be here, I hate this job, I hate this guy, or I love the job but I don't like the guy or the boss or whatever, whoever obviously is in front of you. And that sometimes can become a pattern. Now I don't know if you guys know about the brain. The brain works basically on habitual experiences. So remember, whatever you say to your brain, you are right. So let me repeat that. Whatever you tell your brain, whatever you say I am or I am not, your brain will believe it. Now, this has been scientifically proved that whatever you experience and tell your brain, you experience. So let me recap that. So if you tell your brain that you're not good enough, or you're not going to be able to do that, or you are going to be able to do that, or you are great, your brain believes it. Okay? Now imagine if your thought pattern has been really negative for a long period of time. So let's say 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, and let's get the numbers going. 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Guess what pattern does your brain like? Okay, guess. I hope you are with me still. Okay, guess. Negative. Okay, because you've been installing that software. Whether it's right or wrong, remember, your brain doesn't know. Your brain doesn't know whether that pattern is right or wrong. It's just a pattern that your brain got used to. So it always refers to the software installed, and this is why it then downloads into, remember, I've explained this, neurons in your brain work like, imagine like motorways. So there's plenty of cars coming through. Okay, so imagine cars and the thought patterns. So 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, 1 million cars a day, whatever you want to call it, or however many you think there is patterns. Yeah, that creates a pattern behavior. And then what it does is it creates avenues that create neuroplasticity. So if you guys Google it, neuroscientists have proved this time and time again. Once we create these neurons in our brain, which is caused by obviously thoughts that create thought patterns, then this creates neuroplasticity. Now, neuroplasticity is thoughts that become habitual. So it's basically, imagine me thinking about something and about me doing something. So my brain registers that as a memory, and then that becomes my personal reality that then caused and name personality. This then, what it can lead to, whether it's positive or negative, let's say if you install the program that is really negative, I'll give you an example. Some people, they think they're overweight, or they think people are looking at them, or they're thinking that people are judging them, or people that say, for instance, they go to work and they think they're not good enough. For instance, as an example, I'm just giving you examples, yeah? Okay? That, imagine if you thought that every single day, okay? What do you think you're installing in your brain? Okay, so that's the software. Okay, so that software then gets installed into negative sort of thought patterns. All of a sudden, all you think about is that thought pattern. So all of a sudden, if someone says to you, "Oh, why are you being so negative?" and you actually ask yourself, "What do you mean negative? I'm not being negative. Yeah, you don't realize you're being negative because that's a program that has been sort of digested and delivered by your brain so often that you don't even realize now you're being negative. Okay, now you may ask, Carlos, so where are you going with this? What does that mean? Because a lot of us, we don't realize that we become ill. We become ill over a period of time, sometimes months, sometimes years. Okay, so you've got physical problems that we tend to have. Let's say we break a leg, or you break an arm, or whatever. So that's physical. Okay. Now neurological comes from cells. Okay, and obviously mentally, a lot of things that we get problems with, we can't see. Obviously, we can't see our minds, can we? I can't see my mind, can I? So you can't see your mind. So when it becomes what these problems cause our mind is scars, and a lot of scars can lead to a lot of different problems. Now, if you guys look at, there's an epidemic of mental health problems, and a lot of people out there, they've had mental health problems for years, or misdiagnosed, or if you go to the doctor will tell you, oh, don't worry, just take some pills, you'll be fine. But a lot of the stuff gets not really well sort of diagnosed and also ultimately dealt with, because at the end of the day, you don't want to go to someone and say, listen, this is the problem you've got, and you don't even know if that's the problem. A lot of the times it's misdiagnosed medical and psychological problems that are caused by a long period of mental health issues that you caused yourself. Because remember, negative thought patterns cause you to become ill. Not overnight, it takes you a while. I mean, some people might say, oh, what do you mean that? So if I talk negative to myself, will I make myself ill? Yes, you will. You will. Believe it or not, I'll tell you why, this has been actually scientifically proved by many scientists, that by us utilizing negative cell talk, eventually you create negative cells, which makes your body obviously acidic. Acidity causes a lot of inflammation in our body, on our mechanical body, and also on our mental state. This causes all sorts of diseases. So obviously I'm not going to name all the diseases that will cause you, because everyone's different. So everyone ends up with some sort of problem. Okay, now how do we reverse this? At the same time, on the same breath that you can say you become ill by talking negative, you also become well by talking positive. So I'm not just saying talking positive by going blah blah blah, I'm so great, I'm the best thing life has ever bred. And now I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. It's about behaving nice. I'll give you an example. You may say, Carlos, give me an example how I can start my day by behaving nice. I'll tell you things. So you've got your mechanical body, your physical, obviously, which is your physical body. You've got your mental, which is obviously your mental state, and you've got your spiritual. Imagine, let's say you woke up in the morning and you became happy. So you actually behave happily. So have gratitude. Become grateful for the fact that you woke up today, and you're grateful about waking up. Because there's no guarantee. Imagine you had a nice breakfast. Imagine you had some nice organic fresh fruits. Okay, so then you went to work and you were happy about going to work and seeing people you want to see. Okay, being grateful for the fact that you've got a job and you've got perhaps a car, or you can get somewhere into work via transport. Okay, which a lot of people haven't. Okay, let's just say we put everything on that day positive. Okay, guess what happens if you do that every single day? Okay, I know this sounds very corny and very sort of artificial, me saying this, because a lot of people might think, oh, but I've got a terrible team at work, or I hate my job, or I hate being at home with my husband or my wife, or whatever it is. Okay, you've got a terrible relationship. I understand that, but let's just presumably imagine that was the case, that you had a really nice morning, which then leads to a nice afternoon, then leads to a nice evening. Okay, imagine if you've done that for 21 days. What would that cause your brain? Imagine the hemostasis that would cause your brain to be in a very positive balance. Okay, all of a sudden you start building great positive cells that leads to positive patterns that leads to you having a better, happy version of yourself. And this is one of the things that I would say that a lot of us, like, we live in a world that it's all about what other people think of us. Like say we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we got loads of different platforms. I don't need to name all of them, right? Of which it's all about comparing. So we live in an era of comparison. What do I look like in relation to that guy? What do I look like in relation to that girl? Okay, how much do I earn in relation to that guy? How much do I earn in relation to that girl? And the list goes on. Okay, have I got a bigger nose? Have I got a smaller nose? Have I got a bigger chin? Have I got a? Honestly, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And this can cause, once you start comparing your life to others, honestly, it can be havoc. Okay, because we're not ever truly happy about ourselves. So what I would advise you to do is advise you to be content within yourself. Okay, and then this may sort of obviously then starts explaining on how we then see others and how we then see ourselves. So if you're very content with yourself, I bet you will be very happy around others as well. If you're not very happy with you, you're not going to be very happy around others. Now, how does this then lead to not making things worse than they are? Now, what happens is this, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier on, if you guys still with me, is when we say about when we become very negative, and there's a negative pattern behavior that we utilize in our behavior. What do you think reaction is going to be when there's negativity every day and we make a little thing a big thing? Okay, so let's say for instance you late at work, as an example, you end up 10 minutes late at work, you get told off by your boss or whatever, all of a sudden the rest of the day is the end of the world. Okay, now we're not putting things into perspective. Okay, we're not putting things in perspective because it's not the bloody end of the world, is it? Let's be honest. Okay, we've got to become emotionally intelligent about things. It means nothing. Okay, if you be late every single day, that may mean something, but what I'm saying is in a scale of great big things and important things, that's a very minuscule thing of which you can deal with it very easily. But we tend to make things happen in a sense where the end of the world is going to end. It's going to be the end of the world. Okay, the end of the world is here and is ending today. Okay, now it doesn't mean that at all, and a lot of the times this ego is driving all that. Is your ego. It's about me all the time. It's about me. No, relax. It's not about you at all. It's about the world. The world doesn't own us anything. It's put you here. Express yourself. Okay, you are here to express yourself to the best of your ability, hopefully, but it doesn't owe you anything. So why don't you sometimes, and I do this, and don't take me wrong, this has happened to me as well. So that's why I know so much about psychology and training, although I'm a qualified psychologist. However, these things that I'm talking about has happened to me, and it's the reason why I'm manifesting them to you guys. And one of the things that we tend to do is have you noticed now, the most common thing that you see now with people is, oh, I'm too busy. About anything you do, you're busy about everything. Everyone's too busy. Of course we are busy. Everyone's, even someone that has got much to do is busy because he's busy doing not much. Okay, and that's just the way it is. We all put tasks around ourselves and think that we're far too busy. Look, I've got 24 hours, 7 days a week. How much time do you have? Okay, exactly the same time as me. Now, whatever tasks I put within those 24 hours, it's up to me. So I'm managing those time. Okay, you may say, yeah, Carlos, but I've got 3 or 4 kids and I've got this and that. You're telling me a story. We all have a story, okay? I'm sure you don't want me to tell you my story, okay? So I've got loads of tasks as well. So we all have tasks throughout the day of which we have to obviously meet them. And I understand that. But the biggest thing that we need to realize is it's down to us to manage those tasks around that day. Now, you need to put things into quadrants, and how do we put things into quadrants is to prioritize things that makes us become better versions of ourselves. And this is why I do a lot of coaching with a lot of people. I don't just do physical coaching, I do a lot of psychological coaching and business coaching. I do a lot of life coaching, because a lot of times we're so clever about certain things in our lives, but one thing we are not clever about or emotionally intelligent about is how to manage our lives. And I'm not telling you how to manage your work or manage your house. It's actually what elements do you put in and take out in order to manage a better lifestyle, in order to perform better at what you're really good at. And this is a lot of us forget about, that we're not good at managing ourselves around all these things. Because don't take me wrong, if you're not calibrated enough, it can be very, very, very scary, because you've got all these great big things coming at you at once. You got emotions coming through, and someone can be completely overwhelmed. Okay, now I'm going to finish with one which may help you guys very well. Now, there's very many ways of control, okay, and this is something that I teach a lot of people about, and this may lead to a lot of, sometimes this is what I'm looking the word as, becoming dissatisfied. That's the word I'm looking for, about the things you do. And one of the biggest things, hold on, I'm gonna be run over in a second. All right, mate. So one of the things I would say, this lady next to me might think I'm gonna go crazy about the things I'm gonna talk about, but to become dissatisfied about the things that you talk about is one of the things that a lot of people become very, very attached about. It's like everything needs to be under their control. Everything, okay, is work, is home, is say your partner, is your family. Everything's in control, and that's great. That's great. The fact that you've got a tight ship and everything's obviously working in order and is brilliant and everything else. But one of the things you got to realize is control gives you a lot of anxiety, because remember, we can't control everything. The biggest thing I would say, if you can control yourself, you've done an amazing job. Okay, keep walking faster so you can learn. Okay, so one of the things is, she thinks I'm absolutely out of my mind, but what I was going to say is, if you can control yourself, you've done an amazing job. Honestly, you've done an absolutely amazing job. Okay, now the problem that we've got ourselves is we're trying to control not just ourselves, hold on, we're trying to control everyone, okay? And that means everyone that's got a little bit to do with our lives, we're trying to control. Guess what that gives you? That gives you tremendous amount of disappointment. Guess why? Because these people don't care about what you want to do, okay? So what I would say to you is this: become less controlling, okay? Now you might even say to me, yeah, Carlos, but I'm the boss and they've got to listen to me, and listen, okay? I'm a boss as well. Okay, I'm a manager as well, but you can't control in variables, okay? You can only control the variables. You can only control things that can be controlled to a certain degree. Even things that you think that are controllable sometimes become uncontrollable depending on the people you got in front of you, okay? So one of the biggest things I would say, put systems in place that you can control. Don't put emotions in place to control, because let's say, for instance, I'm just giving you examples. Let's say you've got 3 kids as an example. You got your husband, you got your mom and dad, you got a job, and you're running like a crazy housewife as well as your job and everything, but you want all your kids to do everything you want them to do on that particular day. You want your husband to behave in a particular way. Then you've got your mom and you've got your dad and you've got all the jobs around, and they have to run in that amazing timeline. Let's say you have a day where everything runs smoothly and there's no problem at all. Let's just imagine next day nothing runs in relation to your expectations. What happens to your brain? You go through absolutely havoc. And what does that cause you? That causes you a great amount of stress. What does stress cause? Anxiety. What does anxiety then leads to if it becomes a perpetual sort of environment? It causes you to have high levels of anxiety, which then leads to panic attacks. Panic attacks and anxiety altogether, that great cocktail, leads you to depression. Okay, what does depression lead you to? Now the list goes on and on. This is the thing that a lot of us may not be aware of, that all of a sudden we become so attached to these thought patterns that doesn't serve us, by the way, but we become so ingrained in our DNA, which then all of a sudden becomes our personalities. And this leads us to have these personalities that sometimes you stop and thinking, ask yourself, what am I doing? This is not me. No, it's not you, that's right. But those are the thoughts, pattern behaviors, which is called, if you like, software, installed software that you have created. All that great big cocktail of emotions have been created by you. Whether you like it or not, whether they've been created by you alone, whether they are pattern behaviors associates, that could be your partners around, it could be your family, it could be even your work colleagues, it could be the environment, if you like. But you have allowed that to become a pattern, and if that leads into a pattern behavior, builds neuroplasticity, which then becomes an unconscious behavior, and this can get really complicated to even understand. And I know that sometimes you think, oh Carlos, what, I'm confused now, unconscious mind, subconscious mind, all these pattern behaviors, what's this? I thought the mind is the mind. Honestly, the mind is so complicated that still scientists a lot of times don't understand how we behave. But what I can tell you is, all the stuff I've told you today is stuff that's been tested, stuff that's been proven, that if you look after your mind, if you have a happy mind, if you stay close to people that love you, people that actually care and want to be with you, things that you can create and become a better version of yourself, exercise, eat well, become a better human, I can guarantee you that you are starting, I'm not saying that all of a sudden you're going to become this big positive person, but what it can do is, it can interrupt all the negative behaviors that you had before that you so don't want and also doesn't serve you. So it can actually create you to become a better version of yourself. So here we are, a bit of a mouthful, I understand that, but some of you guys like a lot of longer videos. So here we are, another amazing video in order to help you guys become a greater version. You can check us out on Instagram, which is Carlos Trainer 10. Also on our website, which is let me restart again. It's Ultimate Fitness Trainer.co.uk. You can also check us out on our Instagram on Carlos Trainer 10 on our new online training that we do. Also, it's coming again. We're going to start doing a lot more videos as well. So with all that said, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, stay fit, and don't forget to do that fat burning every day. Take care.